emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement. Alert! Alert! This is an emergency live stream. Please stand by for a Smitty announcement.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
That's right, emergency live stream time. Appreciate you all being here. 2 new lawsuits for Deshaun Watson. That puts him at, if you can remember back, it's been a while, 22 cases is what he was at when he signed his contract, his $230 million guaranteed deal with the Cleveland Browns. Probably could be one of the worst trades and contracts in the history of the NFL, the way this is shaping out. But he had 22 cases. 2 more cases, 23 and 24, got added about a week ago. Now we're at case 25 and 26 being filed according to reports. So we have 4 new additional cases from the original 22. And if you remember correctly, based on what I told you, based on the reports, based on he said, she said, I got all these reports out there that are feeding us this information. So we do have to be careful, not to take everything as if it's a law or gonna happen. There's a lot of information coming from different directions, a lot of misdirection, a lot of facts. So we got to break it all down. That's what we do and why we do what we do here on the Fantasy Football Show. But if you remember back when I reported a couple days ago that there is verbiage potentially in the contract between Watson and the Cleveland Browns that talks about if new cases emerge from the 22. We're approaching 25 and 26. That means case 23, 24, 25, and 26. All four of the new cases, if a suspension potentially occurs due to any of those new cases, the contract could potentially be looked at to be voided by the Browns. I don't know what that means for a signing bonus, which is apparently like $46 million. And he's getting paid $1 million in salary. Basically, Deshaun Watson's getting between like 47 and 49 million every single year of his contract with the Cleveland Browns. That goes up to $230 million guaranteed. Every single dollar is guaranteed. However, contracts have certain verbiage in it that gives a team like the Browns a way out. And they apparently have this verbiage in the contract. But he gets paid, I believe it's like $47 million every single year. Every single year, $47 million. Now, the way that year one's structured, though, is to anticipate a season-long suspension. So Watson's camp, the Browns couldn't have made it more Watson-friendly, this deal. They couldn't have made this more Watson-friendly. In the case where maybe you get suspended for the entire season, Watson, we don't want your $47 million to be tied up, so we'll take 46 of it out, give it to you as a signing bonus. $46 million up front that can't be quarantined by the NFL, and they'll pay him $1 million. $1 million for 2022. That means if he gets suspended and the NFL can take away money from him or stop him from getting payment, they can only do that with $1 million. 46 of it is a bonus. So year one, he gets $46 million in a bonus, $1 million in salary. The additional years, it's like $47 million in salary every year. That's how they structured this thing, to anticipate him maybe being out for the year. Now, why you would give a player $230 million guaranteed when your assumption is that he could be out for the year is crazy anyway. This is a move for 2023, but is it a move for 2023? How come I can't send 20 super chat? You could send it, James. I don't know. Maybe you got some setting on your phone that's not allowing you to. But DM me on IG if you can't, and I'll try and get you in one of the alternative spots that we have available. I've got a lot of DMs out for it, so it's not guaranteed you'll get it. 2 new cases, 25, 26. What does this mean? If I had to guess at this point, guys, I mean, 5% chance maybe Watson plays a game in 2022. 30% chance he ever plays again. And that could change by the day, okay? That could change by the day. DM me on Instagram, James. That could change by the day. It's crazy. It's crazy. I would say that probably, yeah, we got the Cooper Cup League going, guys. DM me on Instagram, James. We're gonna. This is a new show. We're not gonna handle that right now, but DM me on Instagram and I'll take care of you. And yeah, pre-rank your picks, says Derek Lincoln. So then we got this other news: Kyler Murray potentially signing what Kingsbury's saying, and he's changed his tune because it was very much, you're going to come and show up, Kyler. Keep your head down. We're going to extend you through 2023 because this is 2022. He's got this year and then his 5th-year option next year, and then the ability for the Cardinals to franchise tag him for additional years. So Kyler Murray doesn't have a whole lot of leverage. He has the leverage in terms of maybe being able to hold in, meaning that he can show up, fake an injury, not play, but show up and get paid. And for a quarterback, that's different than for like a wide receiver. Like Deebo Samuel can't hold in. He can't do the hold in approach. Show up, get hurt. He can't do it. He can't do it because if he did that, he wouldn't get the bag at the end of it. Whereas Kyler Murray most certainly can show up and not even play a whole year and still have teams fully interested in giving him the bag and a big contract. So Kyler has a little more leverage than like a Debo or a McLaurin or a DK Metcalf. Kyler Murray's probably going to get paid. At this point, it feels like he's going to get paid. Kingsbury even had this to say talking about it, which is a very, a stark change and difference from where he was at just a few days ago. So listen to this right here from Kingsbury.
He's the leader of this franchise. We're about to make him, I'm sure, the highest paid player in this franchise history. And so
So basically saying that we're going to make him the highest paid franchise player in history. He said, I think, the highest paid. It's looking like these two sides are inching closer to getting a deal done. This is good news for the Cardinals. It's good news for Kyler Murray's development. I'm a Cardinal fan. I'm in Arizona. I really do want this to happen. I've been very critical of Kyler up to this point because Kyler hasn't done the things that I want to see that would make me want to pay him. So it's crazy, that the Cardinals are changing, I think, stances when the whole thing was like the Arizona fan base even. We want Kyler. It's hard to upgrade Kyler. He is a top 10 quarterback. He's not a top 5 quarterback in terms of NFL quarterbacks from fantasy wise. He could certainly be. But it's literally impossible, in my opinion, to determine whether this guy is going to develop in the right possible trajectory based on his current behaviors and what he's done in the past. So, yeah, thank God the Saints didn't get Watson. The Cardinal fan base, we want a Watson too. We want a Watson for Kyler. And that was an overwhelming thought by the fan base. And thank God that didn't happen. This thing for Watson, if you really look at what's happened with Watson, it went very negative. It started going down a very, very into a very dark place for Watson. The criminal investigations, there were potentially 10 to 11. Those got, thrown out essentially, or the grand jury didn't think there was enough evidence to indict him. So all of the criminal stuff got thrown out. Now the criminal stuff can still pop up. The 4 new cases could be looked at by the DA to see if there's new evidence, and every case is different. Every case is individual. This is not a class action lawsuit. It's consolidation, which means that they try and speed things along and do things in groups, but it's not a class action. Everything is individual. Every single piece is individual. Every single piece of evidence tied to each case is for that case. So in the 4 new claims, that evidence is different than the evidence that is in the other cases. So when someone says, oh, the criminals, if someone tells you the criminal stuff's in the past, they already tried and they're not going to pursue them for any criminal. That person doesn't know what they're talking about because it's an individual type of thing. Each case has its own evidence. The DA could look at all 4 of these new cases and maybe one of them has enough evidence to indict. Maybe none of them do. Maybe all 4 do. Maybe 7 or 8 new cases eventually will. Here's the deal. There are potentially, according to, I think it was the New York Times or New York Post. I think it was New York Times. There are reportedly 100 women that Watson potentially set up these situations with, according to reports. There's 66 verifiable, according to reports. And the reason they're not saying 100 is they don't really know for certain on some of these, but there could be upwards of 100 different women within a 17-month to 2-year period that Watson set up massages with. Very amateur, almost nobody masseuses, and non-disclosure agreements for every single one of these meetings practically, from what I'm hearing. We don't know for certain. No one can know. There's 100K. Everybody's reporting what everybody else is reporting. The facts are crazy. But this guy set up over, reportedly, near 100 of these situations where they're random Instagram people that don't have a big practice. Maybe they're brand new. They potentially need, the money's good. They don't service the NFL players or athletes at all, so they're wowed by Deshaun Watson. We can sit here and say, yeah, Mario, this is kind of what innocent until proven guilty. I get it. There's going to be 1 or 2 of you in here that are going to be so adamant to bring that up and just be like, what crimes? What? That's, you get somebody comes in and goes, what crime, Smitty? What crime? Maybe it's time.
Time for a Smitty rant.
You're going to get a lot of people that are going to say, Smitty, what crime? What crime? And they come in here and they get all upset. Look, we live in a country where it's innocent until proven guilty. Thank God we live in a country where you are innocent until proven guilty. I don't know what we do if we didn't live in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty. But at some point, you got to ask yourself a logical question. And it's like, there are potentially over 100 of these situations, 66 that are being like confidently reported, and 26 cases against him, and admission by Watson that he did do so many of these things that are in the claims. And here's the thing. If you're going to come in here and say, what? He didn't do anything. What crime, Smitty? What crime? What crime, Smitty? He didn't do anything. Well, there's no crime at all, Smitty. If that's your stance, if you're literally going to come in and say, he didn't do anything, this is all fabricated, you haven't looked into it. You're just throwing a blanket statement over it. You're glossing over it. You're a casual Deshaun Watson reporter. You're a casual Deshaun Watson situational consumer. You're consuming content from a very casual perspective. You don't actually look into it. The claims are absolutely crazy. I would say 8 times out of 10, when somebody's defending Deshaun Watson to me and they read the claims against him, they come back 8 or 9 times out of 10 and say, Smitty, I can't defend him because I don't. If even parts of these are true, this is messed up. This is messed up. There are now 26 claims against him, and he has admitted to a lot of what's happened. It's just the perspective of it that he's arguing. He did, everything's been agreeable, consensual. That's what he's arguing. But still, read the claims before you open your mouth and act like all of this is fabricated. There are some people that they literally say, this is all a witch hunt, it's a money grab, all of it's a money grab. Is part of it a money grab? Are some of these individuals out for money? Absolutely. How could that not be the case? Okay? But if you think every single part of this has been fabricated, if you think that over 100 meetings, at least 66 that are being confidently reported, 66 individuals that have been targeted. He is targeting these potential masseuses. Let's not use the word predator like the prosecution's using, but this man is targeting certain individuals. We know that for a fact, for an absolute fact. He's going after people that have very small practices, or they're one-off masseuses, or they're random people that maybe don't even have a masseuse business. And he's making them sign non-disclosure agreements before they come in and massage him. All of them don't have any experience with NFL players, so they're wowed. They're wowed. They all potentially see the money as a big difference maker. They're not a huge business that has tons of money and revenue coming in where they can go, look. Let's keep this professional, Deshaun Watson. Okay, keep the towel on. This is a situation where every single individual probably values the money more than the big company, probably has no idea how to handle emotionally an athlete like Deshaun Watson walking in the room. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? But let's be realistic here. What does that tell you? It tells you that he's probably looking for an individual that needs a lot of money, that's going to feel very uncomfortable and inferior to a big athlete that has wowed them, and not is susceptible to say, this makes me uncomfortable. What other conclusion can you draw at this point? Innocent till proven guilty? Absolutely. What's that mean to me? That no criminal action, jail time, anything should be done until you can prove it in a court of law, innocent till proven guilty. But at some point, yes, in the public eye. You can look at the evidence and make some determinations ahead of time. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. Nike jumped off the train right away. Beats by Dre jumped off the train right away. As soon as this stuff broke at the very beginning, these two companies cut their ties with Deshaun Watson and ran for the hills. You can do those things in today's world. The NFL can make determinations and say, okay, we're not even going to look at what you did in terms of innocence or guilt or the criminal aspects of this, but let's take a look at what you did. You set up 100 of these situations, potentially 66 that we can confidently say are probably been set up. 26 of them now, which has grown from 22, no pun intended. It's grown from 22 to 26. These people, if you read the claims, they've interviewed, the NFL's interviewed them. They've interviewed Deshaun Watson. Now 4 more cases. How is the NFL going to determine anything? Like, think about this logically. How is the NFL going to determine anything at all when these cases are going to continue to probably funnel in? What is the NFL going to do? Let's make a determination now when we may have 2 or 3 more cases while we're announcing it that are getting prepared to be filed. And what did I tell you a week ago? You would probably see maybe 26, 27, 28 cases by the end of July. We're already at 26 cases a week later. We're not even near July. It's not even July 1 yet. It's what? It's June 20... What is it? June 15th? June 15th. Is it June 15th? It's June 15th. We're in the middle of June. The middle of June, and we already have 26 cases. Now I'm reassessing. 30 cases by the end of July. And that's probably a very low estimate. Now, that's presumptuous of me. That's maybe judgmental of me. That's maybe me making trying Deshaun Watson in public opinion, in the court of public opinion. At some point, you got to be able to make a few calls in the eyes of the public. Like the public opinion, the trial by the public. I understand people don't like it. And I'm not saying that we should live in a world where you could go to jail or you could be fined by police or what, nothing like that should happen until the court process plays out. But should you allow an individual to walk onto the field when there's all this evidence against them and there's a history of targeting these certain individuals, there's a mission that a lot of this went down. The NFL is going to do one thing, I predict. They're going to say, you put the NFL in bad light. These new 4 cases from the 22 most certainly is going to influence the NFL's decision. I think the NFL is very close to doing like a 6 to 8 game suspension with some kind of lingering, we'll re-look at it should the cases go in a bad direction and he fight him and lose, or something negative comes out of it, or more cases emerge. There would be a very vague continuation, like we will re-look at this. We reserve the right to re-look at this because it's not concluded. But now with the 4 new cases, I believe the NFL is going to say this: we can't let this man play. Sponsors, advertisers, this thing went in one direction when the criminal stuff was, thrown out, wasn't going to be pursued criminally. Everybody jumped on the Deshaun Watson bandwagon saying, oh, he's back. He's back. Like, this is all a witch hunt. He's innocent, blah, blah, blah. Everybody jumped on the bandwagon. I admit, even I was like, okay, yeah, all 11 cases didn't go criminal. Like, they couldn't indict him. They can indict a ham sandwich. They always talk about that everywhere. Like, this guy didn't get indicted in any of the criminal stuff. Everybody jumped on the Deshaun Watson train. Now these 4 cases reemerge, and it's like that stuff never happened. And it's understandable for a human being to be like, okay, 1 case, 2 case, 3 case. 26 individuals are claiming that a lot of this stuff happened and it's a lot of overlapping. Yes, it's the same attorney. Maybe there's coaching going on. We don't know. I'm not saying Deshaun Watson's guilty. I'm not saying Deshaun Watson is innocent. And it's very important that we have a process where we don't try people in the court of public opinion. But in this particular situation, he has admitted to a lot of this activity just from a different perspective from the alleged victims. The NFL is going to, so what I'm saying is the NFL is going to come down very hard on this situation. No pun intended again. They're going to say, look, you're out for the year, buddy. You're out for the year, and you're out indefinitely. You're suspended indefinitely until we can take a look at this further down the way. Clearly, this is not resolved. Clearly, the amount of individuals coming forward isn't even settled on, and this is an open door. This door is wide open. This door is as open as this door right here. And it's not going to close because this isn't a class action lawsuit where they get everybody in one lawsuit and move forward. And anybody that didn't jump in can't jump in later. This is not that situation. This is a situation where there's an open door. Well, 5 months from now, open door. 7 months from now, open door. This is individual cases. This is not a class action. This is a consolidated case, meaning one attorney is trying to handle all of this at once. But these cases are individual with individual evidence. And if I had to guess what the NFL is going to do, year suspension, suspended indefinitely. Browns now have no idea when he's coming back. That ambiguity is going to make the Browns look into their options. As Pro Football Talks, Mike Florio put it, and he's an attorney. I believe he's still an attorney, but he was a former attorney or still an attorney, that there is verbiage inside the Cleveland Brown contract with Deshaun Watson, the $230 million guaranteed deal, that if suspensions arise from any new cases beyond the 22 that were known about when the contract was signed, meaning case 23, 24, 25, 26, that Deshaun Watson, the deal could potentially be voided if suspensions are relating to new cases, which they most certainly would have to do with. So how that works, how hard it's going to be to fight that in court, I don't know. Like, that's a whole nother can of worms. This situation probably isn't going away anytime soon, and I don't know that Deshaun Watson ever plays another snap in the NFL. That's my rant. Here we go. I don't know what some of you have been saying, but I'd love to hear all of this, but I'm probably not going to be able to see everything that everybody's posted. It's a tough topic. It's a tough topic, and there's always going to be people that defend Deshaun Watson in this situation because a lot of people like the underdog. A lot of people like to defend innocence until proven guilty, which I do too. Typically, I'm all about that. And if you followed me on this, I've tried really hard not to cast any judgment and talk about it from a factual perspective. But the bottom line is this thing is getting worse by the day. It's getting worse by the day. And I don't think it's going to change. I traded Watson away for Trevor Lawrence in one of your leagues and Waddle in another league. Feeling really good about that right now, says Weston. I would be too, bro, because I don't know that he's ever playing another snap in the NFL. I just don't see it happening. Kyler Murray probably looking like a deal's getting done. Fitzpatrick signing a monster deal. Let me move this out of the way here. Fitzpatrick agreed to a massive 4-year contract extension worth about $18.4 million with $36 million guaranteed. So congrats to Fitzpatrick on that. Here's a little piece of news from about Terry Scary McLaurin. Speaking Wednesday, Commanders head coach Ron Rivera stated, "We're not trading Terry McLaurin." You know, we heard Pete Carroll say we're not trading Russell Wilson. They traded him less than a week later. So while, I don't know what to make of this fully, I think it's crazy in this offseason that we're dealing with right now, the craziest offseason ever. I think we're probably, in a situation where anything's possible. So most certainly wouldn't rule out a trade, but it's leaning like the Commanders don't want to trade him. McLaurin's got little leverage. Doesn't sound like he's reporting very soon, but at some point he will. When he starts racking up $40,000 a day in fines, he'll show up eventually. Same thing goes for DK Metcalf. Same thing goes for Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz and the Cowboys are really close to getting a deal done. I think the Seattle Seahawks want really badly to get a DK deal done. So my guess is Dalton Schultz, then DK, or DK Dalton Schultz will sign back-to-back very close together because these two teams, both sides, really want to get a deal done. Could DK be traded? Yeah. I mean, Carroll traded away Russell Wilson unexpectedly. We don't really know what could happen. But odds are probably lower that DK gets traded now after the draft when there's no draft capital to be had and used in this year's NFL draft. It's over. So the odds of a trade are a lot less likely. But hey, relationships can get more volatile. Teams can misjudge the willingness of the player to return. And so that's why McLaurin and DK are still potential trade candidates for both of these teams. I would love to see Terry McLaurin in a Charger uniform. I'd love to see DK Metcalf in a Charger uniform. Green Bay would be phenomenal for one of them, at least for a year, but then we'd worry about, the coming years. But I think Aaron Rodgers might stay 2 years if he got a DK or McLaurin. But we'll see. But those are the big pieces of news right now. We got the Kyler Murray deal. Kingsbury saying we're about to make Kyler Murray the highest paid, or probably the highest paid player in Cardinal history. That's a big change from where the Cardinals were at stance-wise with Kyler earlier. They wanted Kyler to show up and show maturity. And there was some thinking that would make them pretend like they weren't going to give him a deal, but if he showed it, they would give it to him. And we didn't know if that would happen right away or 1 year from today. And not really push the fifth-year option and actually play that out. Looks like Kingsbury just wanted him to show up. Like, talk tough, see how Kyler handles the tough love. And Kyler handled it well. He didn't handle it well at first, but Kyler handled it well. And I've always said, every time I talk bad about Kyler, I always, you can look back at every video I do on this. I talk tough about Kyler, but I always follow it up and conclude with, I hope that he can get his head on straight. I hope that he can show up and be a leader. And if he can, I will be one of his biggest supporters. So I need Kyler to continue down this track of being a leader. I don't want to hear any excuses about I'm not going back on the field to take a snap with my team. You guys set me up for failure. The Cardinals set me up for failure. Things that have come out of his mouth before. Isolating himself in the locker room. He needs to show leadership. You can't give him the bag and make him the highest paid player in Cardinal history and not expect leadership qualities to bleed out from this guy. So I do need to see that. I will be very happy and I will be very supportive and be a big advocate of Kyler Murray should he take on all those characteristics and start being like that, being that kind of leader, being a leader at all. Then I will be a supporter of Kyler. I'm a Cardinal fan. Of course I want it, but I'm extra critical, and I feel like I can be that way being a Cardinal fan because we expect more. We expect greatness out of Kyler. We expect greatness out of our quarterback and players we're going to pay the bag to and give $40+ million a year. We need to see them be a leader, and it's not an unreasonable expectation. It's not unreasonable to be critical of a player that's asking for that kind of money, not doing those kind of things. That's my stance on Kyler. I hope it works out. I'm a Cardinal fan. I want him to do well. We do have the toughest schedule, I believe, in the entire NFL. Some people have us as like the 5th or 6th or 7th toughest schedule. They're crazy. Go look at it. We have the worst final 8-9 games in the entire NFL. We have 1 or 2 winnable games in the final 8 or 9 games. It's absolutely atrocious. It's crazy. The schedule is brutal. Just a brutal schedule. 73 of you in here, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Punch the thumbs up on your way in the door. Smash it.
Hit that subscribe button
Dalvin
if you're
Cook,
new,
the like
and
button.
wipe your feet at the door.
Dalvin Cook, the like button. Dalvin Cook, the subscribe button as well. I Kyler. Let's see what some of you are saying. Kyler isn't a leader. He hasn't been a leader. He has not been a leader. I agree, Badge, and I hope he is. Pouts too much. Juicebox Kyler. These are all things that I've shoveled out there myself. But I am hoping that things change for him. I like that move for DK for Watson. Oh, you're talking about somebody that made a trade. First in the building was Jose, followed by Mealy, followed by Sandu, RB, Ramos. Appreciate everybody in here. Just reading through some of the chats. Kyler has a legit. Sign that man, Kyler. He's legit, says Jeff. Cup League already. Lots of running backs going early. Cup League already fire. What's up, Dan? Appreciate you. Can't wait for the season. Browns are doo-doo and doomed. Warren says to the moon. I don't know what player you're talking about, pal. You talking about Javante? You talking about Breece Hall? You talking about DK? Who you talking about, pal? Thank God the Saints didn't get Watson. Mario says at this point you can't defend this man, talking about Deshaun Watson. Mario says, oh boy, a new angle. Just don't get how there's that many situations and zero of them have enough proof. But Jeff, I don't know that zero of them have no proof at all. They don't have proof necessarily of the criminal components maybe, but there's enough for him to certainly lose in civil from what I hear. And there's a lot of reports that talk about how the police had a lot of evidence. I don't know why that didn't lead to any kind of criminal activity, but there are reports all over the place. And the bottom line is, a lot of this is those uncomfortable situations. Like, was he careful with how he went about what he did and how he said what he wanted to do and what he wanted them to do? We don't know the details, Jeff, but apparently there are 100 situations where he targeted very inexperienced masseuses on Instagram or random people on Instagram to just give him a massage and made them sign a non-disclosure agreement. So, Jeff, you tell me, bro. You tell me. I mean, what do you think about that? How do you explain potentially upwards of 100 people, most of them having very little masseuse experience, coming in to give him a massage and sign a non-disclosure, targeting them on Instagram DMs? Like, explain it, Jeff. I mean, I'm not saying you don't have a point, but I'd love to hear your explanation. And again, I'm glad we live in a world where you are innocent until proven guilty from the criminal perspective, because if there's not enough evidence, you should not be going to jail or anything of the sort. But explain to me how the NFL shouldn't be worried about this. Explain to me how you can't draw conclusions that this man was targeting these individuals, whether he never crossed the line or not, whether it's a very blurry situation. Think about the point in targeting an individual that has very little experience massaging pro athletes is the pressure, the uncomfortable feeling that these individuals would have speaking up and saying, no, I'm not comfortable with this. No, I don't want to do that. That's what the insinuations are here. And it makes a lot of sense when you talk about targeting a certain type of person 100, potentially 100 times. I understand if everybody wants to hold off, as like, I don't know, like I'm not ready to conclude. I'm not liking what I'm hearing, but I'm not ready to make a conclusion yet. Like, I understand that, but how can you defend him? Holding off your judgment and being like, I'm going to sit this one out and wait. I get that. Innocent until proven guilty. Like, I understand that stance, but how can you defend him? How can you defend the actions that are provable, that he's admitted to already? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to put your team and everybody in this situation. Andrew said Deshaun Watson just sent him a friend request on IG. What's up, DTWD? Browns need to void this contract and walk away, says John. They're going to try to void it, bro. If he gets suspended for the year and the Browns are worried about the future, the NFL makes it very vague. You know, hey, we don't know what the future holds. Then the Browns will look to get out of this deal. And there's apparently verbiage in the contract that will allow them to explore getting out of the deal. Watson is practicing right now, though. Yeah, he can practice right now. Until there's a determination made, he's not suspended. He's awaiting disciplinary action. And I believe even if suspended games, like, think about it from this perspective. There's different levels that the NFL could implement in terms of suspension and add, you know, different instructions or whatever. But Hopkins is out for 6 weeks, right? Hopkins is practicing. Hopkins is out 6 weeks of the NFL season, but he is at practice. Watson could get suspended 6 to 8 games a year and still be at the facility, or they could put him on paid leave and make him leave the facility, which would probably be the first move that they would make. And remember that paid leave is on $1 million. He already got $45 million or $46 million. I think it's $46 million. I think he's got $1 million salary, $46 million bonus or signing bonus. And then the additional years are $47 million, $47 million, $47 million, $47 million, all the way up to $230 million. So paid leave would be, they would be paying him out of that $1 million because he already got the $46 million. And if they decided to not pay him and hold his funds, then it would be the $1 million that they would be holding. The $46 million they would have to go after. And the contract may have verbiage that allows the Browns to go after that. Good luck getting it. But that's the way it's going to look. Prediction is that he's out for the year with a very ambiguous and vague. We don't know what the future holds because we don't know when this thing's going to get resolved. And then the Browns are going to go, we're out. Even though they should have known better. And almost every organization in the NFL is mad at the Browns and disgusted with the Browns for offering this astronomical deal of $230 million guaranteed. What a dumb deal. We all thought it was dumb when it happened, but it's even more dumb now. It's more dumb every day, and teams are upset because this manipulates the market slightly. If the contract voids, the Browns don't get their draft capital back. I don't believe so, football. Although there is some talk and legal minds that kick around these ideas because honestly it's unknown territory. No one can say for sure, but the Texans were complicit in a lot of this, guys. The Texans are the ones that set up the hotel rooms and provided the non-disclosure agreements. The Texans had a lot to do with every one of these situations. So yeah, Terry, on the surface they do lose their picks because they knew that this risk was there. However, we don't know what's in the contract. There could be something like if you had knowledge of this, then we could revoke, you know what I mean? But who knows what that would do? The draft capital was already spent. I don't even know. This is unprecedented territory. It's unbelievable. This is the biggest mess in NFL history, probably. It's heading down that road. If it goes the way we're talking right now, where he literally can never play again, and the Browns got to try and undo and void this contract based on verbiage in it that might allow him to do that. And I love when people say that they won't be able to. You can't void a contract. You can do whatever the contract says. Stop talking out your rear end. The contract, reportedly, according to Florio and NBC Sports, has verbiage in it that allows the contract to be looked at being voided if suspensions happen to the player that are outside of the confines of what was written up. 22 cases. There are now 4 additional cases on top of the 22. 25 and 26 will be filed according to reports. and who knows how many more, those will certainly have something to do with this suspension, which will give the Browns grounds to look at this contractually and try and get out of it through this, potential wording about the void. I mean, DTWD says Watson's career is over. I'd say there's a 5% chance he plays games in 2022 at all, like even one game. And I'd say at most a 30% chance he ever plays again. And that could dwindle to like 10%, like by tomorrow. It depends on how it's all going. And I don't know what would happen to the draft capital if there's evidence that the Texans were completely complicit and they held back that information. Like, who knows? Who knows? James, DM me on Instagram so I can set you up, pal. Appreciate you. This is absolutely craziness. Kyler Murray, maybe he signs his deal today, tomorrow, the next day. I think it's soon. I smell it. It's coming. Kyler Murray deal is coming. I bet my boy Dr. Raj a jersey that it wouldn't happen earlier on in the offseason. It's definitely been unfolding in his favor. The Cardinals are changing their tune, and it's good. It's good for the organization. I'm happy. I'm glad to buy Dr. Raj a jersey. I told him I'd buy him a Trey Lance jersey if the Cardinals gave Kyler the bag this offseason. Nick says, my girlfriend has no confidence he will be suspended at all. It wouldn't shock me, bro, if the NFL decided to just step back. Like, the NFL is weird. They'll suspend Calvin Ridley. Not that Calvin Ridley doesn't deserve a season-long suspension, but they'll suspend Calvin Ridley for a year, making a bet when he wasn't even playing, which I agree, you've got to set the tone for that. But then to not follow other things up with equivalent suspensions is just weird to me. The NFL doesn't have a good handle on what's fair and what should be parallel. They have no sense of the word parallel. They don't know how to apply anything fairly. It's like a parent that gives one kid an iPad and the other kid, an Etch-a-Sketch. Like this, it's absolutely stupidity the way the NFL handles a lot of this stuff. Russell Wilson to the moon. I can do that.
To the moon.
I can definitely do that. Russell Wilson's going to be a baller. Hey, Smitty, bold prediction for you, and I know you've had Travis all over your screen lately, but I really think that Travis Etienne for the Jaguars is going to have his biggest season that nobody's expecting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how bold that is at this point, broski. We all are pretty much on board that, so you're right. I agree with you. I think Travis Etienne could be like a mini McCaffrey. And when I say mini, I don't mean like a bad version of him or a fraction of the McCaffrey production. I just mean hard to replicate what McCaffrey did, so we got to call him a baby McCaffrey. But baby McCaffrey could be a top 5 running back. Like Etienne finishing as a top 5 PPR running back would not shock me at all. At all, bro. At all. Ridley got suspended a year. Watson going away for 2. I don't know, bro. I don't know. It could be for his career, or it could be nothing. That's the way the NFL operates. It's really strange. A suspension will happen, or people will lose their shit with the NFL. Zeke was suspended when charges were not there, and he got 6 games. But this is a very different time that we live in, and you're right, 100% right, Terry, that there's an unfair, discrepancy going on between all this stuff. But it was a different rules. The NFL could put Zeke on the commissioner exempt list for a civil matter. They could put Zeke on the exempt list just for a thought that he might be doing something wrong. And that's why the NFL and the Players Association, they made sure that changed going into this year and in the offseason. And they made this change where you can't put a player on the exempt list unless they're in a criminal situation. So Zeke was suspended, for all kinds of, assumptions where you can't really do that as easily. You can suspend, you can't exempt list as easy. But Roger Goodell could suspend for the commissioner or for the personal conduct policy. A lot of people think he's got to lose in court. He's got to be put on the exempt list. There's got to be criminal for Roger Goodell to act. It's not true. Roger Goodell could put him on not the exempt list, but could suspend him for the entire year for violating the personal conduct policy, which he most certainly did. If you come in here and tell me he didn't violate the personal conduct policy that they probably have mapped out that clearly says that you put the NFL in bad light at all, it doesn't mean it's fair. It doesn't mean that the personal conduct policy shouldn't be rewritten at some point. It doesn't mean that it doesn't encompass the stuff that it shouldn't encompass. I'm telling you that the personal conduct policy as it's written most certainly can pull in what Deshaun Watson's done and already admitted doing and say this is not right. It's not right. We don't like it. You shouldn't have did it. You put the NFL in bad light and you're going to be suspended. That's the personal conduct policy. It has nothing to do with winning or losing or innocence or guilt. That's why the NFL is going to probably act. So people need to understand that. When you say the NFL is going to suspend him and you come onto my show and you say something like, for what? There's no crime committed. You don't know what you're talking about. That has nothing to do with it. That will most certainly determine more punishment, or if there is more punishment. But he violated the NFL's personal conduct policy probably over 66 times, maybe 100. Stop with the nonsense. Stop with the nonsense. I'm tired of hearing people say there's no crime committed. But there's no crime. The NFL can't do anything. What world do you live in, Bob? What world do you live in where you think a crime needs to be committed for the NFL to do what the NFL wants? I'm not arguing right or wrong. I'm arguing fact. What world do you live in where you believe the NFL needs a crime to be committed for them to suspend a player? Unbelievable. DTWD, don't worry, you don't need to take a lap. He says take a lap respectively. You can take a lap if you want. If you're telling me to take a lap, you're just going to get laughed at in here because I just explained how if you believe Watson isn't facing personal conduct policy issues, you're a casual to the conversation, bro, and respectively. So hopefully you're not suggesting that in front of everybody right here, because respectively and respectfully, he's violated it to the extreme. Okay, DTWD, I'm sorry, the way you worded that. No, I'm saying anybody that says no crime committed is telling them to take a... Okay, gotcha. my bad. But take a lap anyway for being a boss, bro. Laps are healthy for you.
Take a lap.
I'm going to take a lap later today. Unbelievable. Am I up in the Cooper Cup draft? Let me pull up the league. I may be up on the clock. I'll tell you who I'm going to draft. You guys tell me who you think I should take. I'm not sure if I'm up yet or on deck. It looks like I'm on deck. JACD is on the clock and has yet to contact me. So JACD is probably going to time out, and then I'll have to get a hold of him. Then I'm on deck, and it looks like we've got how many this is the draft so far. This is the draft so far. I'll put it on screen. Your boy Smitty's on deck. 49ers on deck after me. You're in the hole. So here's the draft so far in the Cooper Cup 96 team league. It went Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Cup, Jonathan Taylor. And then the last copy of Jonathan Taylor, because there's 8 copies of every player in the player pool, went to Jeremiah. So we didn't have a consecutive 8 Jonathan Taylors, which isn't crazy shocking, but a little bit shocking. We've had 2 Cooper Cups go, so that means I will most certainly have a copy of Cooper Cup left. 1, 2, 3 copies of Eckler, 1 copy of Henry, 1 copy of McCaffrey, 1 copy of Derrick Henry. I already said Derrick Henry. Najee. So I'll have my pick of anybody but Jonathan Taylor. So I imagine I'll go, if I had to guess, I'll probably go with Najee. and almost certainly be available. So I'll draft after JACD times out, who is yet to get a hold of me. Man, just crazy amount of news, man. I knew today was going to be an emergency live stream. I could smell it. I could smell it from a mile away. I knew it. I started to prepare for it. Let's get amped for Kyler. Let's hope Kyler turns his attitude around. Let's hope Terry McLaurin either gets traded to a massively good opportunity or gets inked and gets into camp early. I don't want him getting hurt by a holdout. Let's hope DK gets in there and doesn't get injured holding out. There's a lot of news to come. This offseason is not over yet. There's so much news that's emerging. Let me check the news wire just to make sure there isn't anything else pending that I need to talk about before we even get out of here. Commanders, Dan Snyder declined the invitation to testify in the June 22nd congressional hearing. Won't testify, okay. More on the Fitzpatrick deal. A lot of people talking about the Fitzpatrick deal. Safety Willis retiring after 3 seasons. More Fitzpatrick. A lot of Fitzpatrick talk. It was a big contract. It was 18.3 million. What was the 4-year deal? 18.4 million. And I think that's about it. Let's see if we have any voice messages. Let's see if we got any voicemails. You got any voicemails for me, people? Let's open the phone lines for a little bit. Let's open the phone lines.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Call into the show. Dial 602 NFL. Dong.
Call into the show, party people. Where is my phone number? Let me pull that up again and drop it.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Let me put this on screen here. Okay. Let me make all this smaller, but I wanted everybody to be able to get the phone number here. I gotta turn on the phone line. Sorry. 1 second. Here it is. What's up, buddy boy? You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. What can I do for you?
What's up, Smitty? This is Sean, man. It's the first time calling the show.
Hey, appreciate you, man.
I want to hear your take. I want to hear you compare Robert Kraft to this Deshaun Watson situation.
I mean, they're different situations. To be honest with you, I haven't looked into the Robert Kraft situation like I've looked into the Deshaun Watson, so I wouldn't feel comfortable giving you an extremely strong take. But I'd love to hear your explanation or what do you want to talk about with it.
My thing is it just seems like they were getting happy endings, and it's it's one of those touchy subjects, so it's hard to say anything,
Yeah, I think there should be.
It goes on in society, people going out, getting a massage, the happy endings, like the culture thing. Everybody knows what it is and know where it's at. It's kind of crazy.
Well, but I think the insinuation of what Deshaun Watson did on top of that is the thing. And let's not get too graphic on here. We're not a family show, but we're a show of people that have families. It's like I
didn't even want to really.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to say it correctly.
No, you did. You're fine. You're fine. You haven't crossed the line yet. Some people I get Silver Rapture in here, and who knows what the hell he'd say on this topic. But what I'm trying to say is there should be a parallel. Okay, so I'd have to look into a lot of the Kraft stuff. I honestly haven't dug into it near as much at all. So I don't want to say something.
You remember it was like they were in the Super Bowl. He was down there living it up. And got his Asian fantasy fulfilled.
Yeah.
On camera, though. It got caught on camera.
Yeah, but so the difference, though, And I'm not saying that shouldn't be looked at or should be looked at. I'm not defending it one way or the other. But had Deshaun Watson just had that same situation arise, I think everybody would be saying, who cares? You know, like it's not a great look.
What happened, Smitty? What happened to Eugene Robinson when he got caught up? When he was Super Bowl partying too hard,
right?
He got they just blackballed him out the league so fast, you know?
Yeah, but what's being claimed about Watson is very different, man. And I'm not saying it's innocent until proven guilty. I get that in terms of like nobody should ever be fearful of going to jail or anything like that. His livelihood's being damaged. I get that, and that's kind of unfair. You know, before there's any kind of everybody's presuming guilt. So like there is some unfairness to it, but what's being accused, like I don't know if you've read the complaints by the 26 individuals or the four cases. I think only the 2 of them are available, but the complaints are graphic. They're crazy. And if you read them, you would probably come back, because 8 times out of 10 people that say what you're saying, they come back and say, I've read them, and if even part of them are true, if even one of the 26 are true, I don't think I can defend the man anymore. And it's like what's being claimed about him is very different.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I heard the latest details. I was like, seems like he's kind of like a weirdo, but there's a lot of weirdos out there.
But is weirdo different than like you said? You go somewhere, there's a fulfilling, ending at the, like, is that different than what's being like? No one's saying that's why he should be suspended. No one's saying anything about the actual, like, if that's considered a crime. And his own attorney said it's not a crime unless money is being exchanged, for that particular part. And so that's a whole different art. Like, I'm not even going there, bro. Like, I have no issues whatsoever with that. I have issues with 26 individuals saying I walked out of there crying. I didn't know how to say no to him. He pressured me because he's this big star, and he targeted 66 to 100 individuals that didn't know how to respond to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be one thing if it was a different scenario where there's one or two. Like, he literally reached out to an individual that had either no massage experience, bro, or had a small little massage business that could really be helped by a big influx of money. And there's something to be said about, you can pretty much say that he whether you want to say targeting is a harsh word, because I'm not saying predator. That's what the prosecution's using. Predator. He's a predator. He's a serial predator. He's a serial. You could use the word serial, and you could use the word targeting. And if he didn't do anything wrong, he still targeted these individuals for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what do you think about, like, is it like conspiracy based? Like, Houston, he didn't want to play for them, then they, like, break this out. I mean, you think that he would have signed and stayed there, this shit would have popped off like this?
I think there's conspiracies. Like, I think that, look, this owner hated him. This owner was out to get him. This owner would rather burn the house down than see Deshaun Watson succeed. Like, you were right on that. There's not one level of this. There's so many dynamics and things at play. I believe there is a possibility he's the one that drew attention to this to try and get Deshaun Watson back, or to try and get him to back down and, like, understand his place or come back, or whatever the motivation was. And then it got out of hand, and then he just stepped back from it. The Texans were complicit, because the Texans actually set up most of these hotel room meetings and provided these non-disclosure agreements, man. They were complicit. Like, there could be, the next phase of this could be all against the Texans. We might see just fury get unleashed against the Texans organization. They might get fined. They might get draft picks taken. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, but the Texans were reportedly involved in so many of these cases and setting up these hotel room meetings. What does that say about the team? How can you cast all the blame on Deshaun Watson when the organization was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's set him up.
Exactly.
You know, and there's
exactly.
conspiracies
I mean, like,
to that too. Like, sure, like I entertain all those things, but the bottom line is there's no conspiracy that these individuals are all lying, coming together for a money grab, because Watson's not saying, I've never seen these people in my life. He's saying, I'm sorry. I said sorry to her when she left crying. I did this. I did do that. All these accusations, you know, there was stuff that happened. Yeah. But it was all consensual. Like, he's admitting to being there. He's admitting to women crying when they left his presence. He's admitting to the non-disclosures. He's admitting that they're all these random DM people on Instagram. He's admitting to all these things. He's just saying, I never forced anything. I never attacked anyone. I never, you know, did anything viciously and harmed anybody. And they're saying, well, you did because I didn't know how to react. You're this big star. They were targeted because they didn't know how to respond. That's my thing. Like, look, I got a psychology degree, and if I had to break this down from a psychological perspective, the targeting here was that these individuals were a little less likely to stand up, clearly, very much more in need of the money, so they might not say anything. There was an individual that actually went back and did it again, massaged again, after they had already like left and been totally upset because they needed the money so bad. Like, they're targeted for a reason, man. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. And again, I'm so much on the side of innocent until proven guilty, but at some point people have to stop defending him and at least say, okay, you know what? I'll step back and see how this plays out. But stop defending him when there's just so much evidence to suggest that there was, even if you can't prove a lot of the things that some of these people are saying, there's a lot of inappropriate, unfair pressure that he probably most definitely applied in some of these situations. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Yeah, but, you know, sports culture, you know, entertainment, there's the groupies waiting type of thing. And, you know, like, going back to, like, the Showtime Lakers, everybody knew what was going on. Like, hella girls, 5 girls for Magic, and everybody staying around. And, you know what I'm saying? It's like the place for that. You got the groupies chasing the rock stars, and then, you know, it is what it is. But I'm not defending them.
I hear what you're saying, but I still feel like we're talking about two different things essentially, though, because this is a whole different thing. Like, I get what you're saying, the Robert Kraft. Like, I'd have to look into that. But if you were expecting me to maybe say no, it's different, I don't know. Like, look, these owners need to be held accountable too. There's so much that goes on that gets overlooked from that perspective. Like, there's a lot of, the NFL handles this stuff in a very imbalanced way, in a very unfair way. The NFL needs to be consistent. They aren't. That means from NFL executives, that means from owners, that means from players, that means from everybody, coaches. And again, last thing I'll say on this topic here, and we'll move on, is that it's not that I'm arguing Deshaun Watson should have, like, I'm not saying he should have, but I'm not arguing the acts that may have taken place voluntarily and all that. I'm arguing that there's enough evidence at this point to be like, this guy can't be on the field until it gets worked out. Until it gets worked out, he can't be on the field. And as much as people want to say that's unfair, you're judging him, where's innocence until proven guilty, there's enough evidence, in my opinion, to say that he needs to go handle this and come back. He needs to, like, even if it's paid leave. Like, here's my argument. If Deshaun Watson, if you can't prove guilt yet, right? And we can't, because the stuff's playing out in court. The NFL does have an obligation to suspend him with pay, maybe. So you suspend him with pay. Go work it out. Get it all done. Get it all sorted out. Come back. When it's all done, we'll put you back on the field if you're innocent and everything works out. But, like, suspend him with pay, but you can't put him on the field. You can't put him on the field.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, like, he's been one of my favorite players to watch since he was at Clemson. But I mean, that doesn't make him, you know, innocent, and he has to be on the field, you know. So I want that shit to get straight, because I do miss watching that fool play. He's good. He's entertaining.
Yeah. All right, man. Appreciate you.
All right, good talking to you, Phil.
Yeah, good call. All right, guys. If you want to dial into the show, dial in. Let me switch this over to active. Dial into the show. Phone number is on screen. Where did my phone number go? Where did my phone number go? There we go. Dial into the show.
Call into the show. Dial 602 in.
I get where people are, and I've held back because I try not to get involved in this stuff and get people all riled up that want to just completely come to his defense. But it's like at this point, I mean, like I said, my stance would be suspend him with pay and then tell him to work it out. If criminal stuff arises, then you suspend him without pay. He never plays again. But if it's just civil, he still can't play. He can't be on the field. With 26 pending cases, he could be suspended with pay. Think of it this way. If one of you at your jobs was getting, you had some situation going on. Like, and I get his livelihood is playing, and but he's already got his contract. Like, let's be real. If you were at your job and you had some huge distracting thing and your company came to you and said, look, we can't suspend you without pay because we don't know what's the truth here and what's going on. We can't judge you yet on that fully. So we're going to suspend you, Bob, with pay. Go work it out and come back. That's an understandable stance. What's up, pal? You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. What's up, buddy?
Smitty, what's up, fam? This is John V. How you doing, man?
John V, what's going on, man?
Good to hear from you, man. Good to hear from
you.
Yeah. So I got a question for you, man. So he's facing these civil cases, right?
Yep.
And let's say he's found guilty in a civil case. How is that? What are the repercussions? What's the punishment versus criminal court?
I don't know in terms of the NFL's eyes. I think if he was guilty on any level, the NFL is going to act. So if he's guilty from that perspective, he's most certainly going to end up serving a suspension. So even if it's civil, if it's criminal and he's guilty, you've got jail time. You've got definitely he's not going to play probably ever again. But if Deshaun Watson, let's say, fights these civil cases, and the NFL doesn't want him to fight it and drag it out, and then if he loses, if he settles, it's one thing. Settling, sometimes in the NFL's eyes, is looked at as guilty, but in civil, there's not as much that they can do. They made that point clear when they changed the commissioner exempt list rules. Like, you can't put somebody on the exempt list for something civil, even if they're guilty. But criminal stuff can arise from these new four civil claims. These four civil claims have brand new evidence that are tied to that individual, and they're all separate cases. This is not a class action. So the DA can look at each one and potentially bring criminal charges again, whether it goes to the grand jury and he doesn't get indicted again for four more or one more or two more or three more of those cases. That we don't know what's going to happen with that. But the NFL, most certainly, if he was found guilty, I think they would be able to look at like suspension. But I don't know fully, like legally, what they can do on a guilty civil matter. Like, they can't exempt list them, but they maybe they can do something with suspending, because what does it violate? The personal conduct policy. None of us have a good grasp on what will for sure be a violation in the eyes of the NFL of the personal conduct policy.
Right.
So
I would imagine that the Browns have to look at this, like, historically, from just flat out not being a very good football team. Like, do you really want to be the center of all this? 26 women, to what degree are you? But do you really, how much more will it take before you distance yourself from this contract? Like, in terms of voiding the contract, like, don't you think it might be time to walk away from this guy and let it play out? Because the Texans are complicit in setting up the hotel rooms and and, basically, assembling these opportunities for you to, misrepresent the NFL and the franchise. What does that say for the picks that were traded?
Yeah, I think what happens here is once you get to this stage where we're like, let's make these definitive, hardcore decisions when he still is trying to defend himself, that's when you get in a gray area. The NFL would be smart to say you're paid, but you're suspended until it's over. That way you're you're covered. Because think about it, bro. If you work for a company and you're being accused of 26 things or whatever, and you really are innocent, and is there a world where all 26 of these people could be fed information by the attorney and be lying? There is a world where that could exist, right? I mean, it's small, right? But is there a world where that could exist? Right? There is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
I don't think it's proper to go to the extremes on this, because the man is still needs to be able to fight innocence till proven guilt. Like, we need to see that, right? So, but I think the NFL has every right to be like, you're suspended. You're never playing again until this gets worked out. And if criminal stuff emerges, then yes, we can go ahead and you never play again. And I think the Browns already have some ability to void this contract if a suspension does arise from any of this, because they most certainly can prove that those 4 new cases had something to do with his suspension. And I believe in the contract, according to Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, there is potential verbiage that allows the Browns an out. I don't know about on the signing bonus. I don't know the details. We'll definitely dig into that once more info comes out. But if he's suspended by the NFL and misses any games at all, based on the new 4 cases, they have a case to be made. Now, that's going to take forever. Good luck getting the money. Good luck, boy. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy or it's going to be simple, but this is craziness, bro.
Absolutely.
This will be
I've
the
never
worst.
heard anything like that.
This will be the worst trade in NFL history, even if they get their money back. And if they don't get their money back, there's no trade debacle that'll ever rival this one in terms of picks lost and money. And who's to say the Texans won't get penalized or have to surrender future draft capital and give it back to the Browns? Because they were complicit in setting up a majority, it sounds like, reportedly, a lot of these hotel visits with non-disclosure agreements. And if these situations are happening and they know that he's meeting with random Instagram people, some of which aren't even masseuses, and he's like, hey, will you come massage me? Jane25765 on IG. Like, here's a non-disclosure agreement, Deshaun, good luck. Here's a hotel room, Deshaun, good luck. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to the Texans. The spotlight could turn in the direction of the Texans in a snap. And we're going to hear, I'm going to be on here every day doing a live stream on how the Texans are in massive trouble.
Oh, without a doubt.
That's probably next.
Schmitty, the timing with the Texans reporting back when he wanted to be traded and he wanted out, the timing of all the information that came out back then was kind of suspect, right? So I guess I can't. I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to sit back and just watch this craziness unfold, man.
Yeah. Hey, who did you say? Who is this again?
John V.
John V. That's right. John V. Calling again, pal. Appreciate you.
Thanks, my man. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Later. All right, next caller. Dial in. Appreciate John V. Good call, John. Good call.
Dial 602 NFL. Dong.
What a crazy mess this is. Biggest trade debacle in history. There's not a trade that's going to rival this one. What's up, buddy? You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to?
Fantasy Dog, Smitty. Hey, thanks for helping me out in the Cup League. The deal on Watson is like when he said he wanted traded and he was going to play in Houston, then all that stuff comes out. Yeah, he wanted that signing bonus. And then also, you know, and I don't know, he probably would have, if he could have had it done in a couple days before all that stuff hit the fan. And also, what about that Hainsworth guy, that defensive lineman that signed that $100 million contract? Was that a trade, or was that like a free agent acquisition? Because that was horrible too for the Skins.
Yeah, I forget. But yeah, this is crazy, man. It's a debacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all set on the Cooper Cup League. You're signed in, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
good.
Sir.
What was your first question?
Oh, I just was saying that, just like the last caller said, that, you know, about that he knew that was coming down the road and he wanted to out of Houston. Remember, before this hit, and I want to go now. You know, he wanted to sign and get a signing bonus, and then all this stuff.
Maybe. I think he probably feared this was coming. Like, I got to get this done quick. But I think he probably thought maybe that it was going to end where it was. Like, I think he was hoping that more cases weren't going to emerge. But
yes, and the Browns will never get them picks back. That's crazy.
Maybe they probably won't. But maybe there's some kind of recourse in that the Texans were complicit. You know, who knows? I don't know where it can go. Like,
yeah. Wow.
I think
never thought of that.
Yeah, greater minds than ours from a legal perspective need to break this down for us, and then we can kind of attack it and analyze it. But I'll try and get Tony the Tiger on. Tony, if you're listening right now, send me a DM right now, and I'd love to dial you up. But Tony the Tiger, or Tony, our in-house counsel, if you will, broke this down from the beginning. And I'd love to get him on to get his take on this. We got to preface. Tony comes on and gives a little bit too much graphic detail.
Oh no.
I got to get a bleep button for him. But it's
I hear you, dog.
These claims are so.
Yeah, you rock. Keep it up, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, Fantasy Dog.
Thank you, sir.
Dial in.
Call into the show. Dial 602 NFL.
Okay, here we go. Mr. McFact. Why didn't these women immediately file police reports? No 100K was not offered. A woman named Solis tried to extract 100K from Watson. Watson and his lawyer said no. Well, I don't know what to tell you, MC Fact. McFact. I mean, it sounds like you want to defend him, and like, I respect your ability. You know, it's just a free country, free world. You can defend who you want. I'm not mad at you. I don't look down upon you. Like, I respect some of what you stand for when you want to defend. Like, I hope that you're on my side. If anybody ever says I cheat in the Cooper Cup League or something, like, hey, Smitty cheated on the Cooper Cup League, I know you'll be on my side. McFact will be like, innocent till proven guilty. You know, that's why we got the fantasy football court here. But at the same time, there's enough evidence here that we got to say, stand down, Watson, until you fix it. What's up, man? You're live on the Fantasy Football Show. Who am I talking to?
Hey, buddy. What's up? It's Dave.
What's up, Dave?
I just want to, just to chime in with, that discussion. I think we need to underscore the difference between what Robert Kraft, did and Deshaun Watson allegedly did. Was that he, when these women said no, and there were a few that said no, right? He, pulled an audible and,
yeah. Let's keep it as clean as possible. But yes, it sounds like the claims are that there was a lot of pressure to see certain things and aspects of Deshaun Watson, and there was a lot of ask later and show now. And ask for forgiveness and act ahead of time, like, and these are the things these are where the gray areas are. It's like when the person maybe said, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with what you just did," and then he stopped. Then he feels like he didn't do anything wrong. Like, I mean, that's the gray area we're talking about. And the NFL has a responsibility to say, look, There are 26 of these, maybe more, and upwards of 66 to 100 other individuals, of which more and more could come forward. The NFL has an obligation to say, at the very least, let's defend Watson a little bit. Let's give him a suspension with pay. Let's defend this situation in general and put him away from the league. Let him work this out, even for his own sanity and own situation. Go fix it and come back. They have an obligation. There's just too much going on here, and to the statements that are out there for the people defending him, and there's less defending him in here than I thought there would be. I thought when I decided to launch this live stream today that I was going to get a lot of pushback in the chat. There's really only like 1 or 2 people that are actually defending him at this point, but the people defending him saying, hey, this, why didn't they file police reports? That is a very presumptuous thing, and you're making.
But there were police reports that were filed, and I think that the biggest argument is that he wasn't, that there wasn't, they tried taking the case, and the DA didn't push the case. There could be many reasons, right, why those cases, weren't filed, right, ultimately, but not necessarily because he didn't do it, right? That doesn't equal he did not commit a crime. And again, I'm 100% same school as you, innocent until proven guilty, but this is a franchise quarterback in the National Football League that, children walk around with the guy's name on their back, growing up and want to be like him, right? And that's tough right now. And when I say children, boys and girls, that's tough.
Yeah. It's by the way, I just drafted guys in the Cooper Cup League. JACD timed out. JACD, if you're watching, contact me. I took Najee Harris. 49ers on the clock now. 49ers an hour to make their pick. This is the draft log so far. I'll put it in the corner here. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think it's as simple as this. Like, innocent till proven guilty is where I stand, for sure. But I also feel like there's distraction and there's enough concern that it's okay to be like, I'm going to pay you, but you can't play. What's more fair than that? Like, if you were in your job right now, and you don't have to tell us what you do, I don't want you to tell us, I don't want you to divulge any information about your personal life, but let's say you work in an office. Let's say you work as a banker or something, okay? And you're accused of something that's awful. You're innocent. It's your boss is like, look, I'm going to take your side on this, but there's so many bad claims at you right now that you've got to go take care of. Go do it. We'll pay you, but you can't be here while you're dealing with this. You're distracted, number one. Number two, we're trying to help you by giving you time to go deal with it, but we can't have you here. That is a fair assessment by a company to give you paid leave to go take.
Generous.
Yeah, it's a generous.
More than fair.
It's a generous approach, but it's a necessary approach at this point. And at some point, yeah, innocent until proven guilty, but you have an obligation to step in as a private organization and be like, look, we can't have this right now until it's resolved. Like, 26 cases is unbelievable. And for anybody to come in and literally tell me that all 26 cases were fabricated, that this attorney's, talking 26 people into lying or going after a money grab. Do I think some of that is happening? Probably. Do I think that everybody's being honest and true? No, I don't think that. But do I think that 26 people have gotten together and kept a lie straight? Have you ever played Telephone, the game Telephone, where you're like, hey, there's 15 people in a circle and you're like, Bob met Sally on the playground and shot a 3-pointer and missed it. And then by the time this gets around, the person at the end is like, Bob's mother ate meatloaf and threw up, and Smitty drafted Najee Harris in the Cooper Cup League. That's the kind of difference you have at the end of all that. Like, for people to keep something straight, for people to not let things get skewed and messed up, and like there's no way this thing is fabricated from the core. Not to mention Watson's admitted to a lot of it, just saying it's all been consensual. But a lot of the craziness that is being talked about still is bad light, putting the NFL in bad light, and the NFL has every right to suspend him for what he's already admitted doing. That's the
and
fact
I think
here.
that's what irks people as well, is that he, like you said, he's admitted to these things.
Yeah.
At the same token, he isn't apologetic or remorseful in any way. Again, not for the actions, but even for, like you said, even for going out of the norm and using, a non-sanctioned, non-team sanctioned masseuse and going to hotels to get these things done. And just, he's apologizing for the impact it's having on the people around him.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but
that's nice he said that, but that's what irks people, is that these comments, that when they finally do make a comment or two, it almost makes it worse. They're the same word as attorney. And,
yeah, if he did nothing wrong, he was in a tough spot because, if he said, I didn't do anything wrong, no, I don't regret anything, stop asking me that, I did nothing wrong. I feel like that's the stance that an innocent person would take, and he did take that. But then he came back, and he took the very political stance and was like, I do regret that everybody has to deal with this. Why would you regret it? Regret's the wrong word. Why would you say regret? Do I regret that everybody has to deal with this? No, I don't regret everybody has to deal with this. I feel very bad, and I wish people didn't have to deal with this, but do I regret? Regret means you did something wrong you wish you could take back. Like, I don't understand why people were using the word, why he's flipping on the word regret. I don't know.
And then when he was asked about the number of women yesterday or the day before, whenever the press conference was, did he have a little smirk with the number?
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to go. He's nervous, and I'm not going to go there and start casting.
I hear that.
But I feel like when he said, was there over 66 women? He's like, that doesn't sound right, but that's something I'll have to consult with my attorneys on, or whatever he said. But there's near 100 from what we're hearing. So, his judgment on that is off.
Yeah, that was a strange answer. And again, I would just personally, I love Deshaun. I love watching him play as a player, but I love the NFL more, and it's a distraction. It's a distraction on the team. The Browns are going to have to answer to this for decades, I'm sure. But I agree with you 100%. Very generous if the NFL ends up sending him with pay. If he ends up on the field this year, that would be nuts. If he ends up on the field in 2 or 3 years after not throwing, not taking a snap in the NFL after 2-3 years and still gets it back for that, that's also crazy.
And that's the thing is, right now, do I think he would be lacking talent, or is there a drop off? Probably not. But if you give him another 1 or 2 years of not playing, then he loses a lot of the edge. The game
and you got
changes.
all those quarterbacks coming in next year, in the next class as well.
Yeah,
so he might get bumped out.
He's not going to be looking good at that point.
No. Appreciate your time,
right,
buddy. Always appreciate you as well.
Later, pal.
And keep up the good work.
Later. Appreciate the call. We'll take one more. If anybody wants to dial in.
Call into the show. Dial 602 NFL.
Dial in. Good buddy. Dial in. We still got Mr. McFack. I do appreciate you, but I am shocked that there's really anybody defending Watson at this point. I think they're just defending liberty, freedom, and I really do appreciate that. I appreciate the thought. But come on, guys. I just don't. What? How can you defend? How can you I want to step back, and I don't want to defend him anymore. But I want to just I don't want to cast any too harsh judgment. I agree, suspension, and then him take care of it, and then, but defending him. I don't understand. All right, guys. I'll be back. We are live. I appreciate everybody being in here. Please hit that thumb up button on your way out the door. I'll be back at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm live every Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern until 8 p.m. every single Monday through Friday. But I do go live like I did today whenever there's an emergency situation. And this was, darn it, an emergency because we had Kyler Murray news. We had Deshaun Watson news. We had scary Terry McLaurin news. They say they're not trading him. But we had stuff to talk about. Anytime there's breaking news whatsoever, your boy Smitty hits a live stream. I dial you up. We start talking, and we break it all down. So I want you to always remember that I will be here whenever there's breaking news. Check my YouTube channel. But hit notifications. Smash it like Dalvin Cook. Smash the like button on your way out the door. And as always, I respond to every comment on my channel. So leave me a comment. Debate this in the comments. And get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com. Get your lifetime membership, your one-on-one text advice, and all your bold predictions. I'll see you at 7. Also, don't forget to click on that Underdog Fantasy button on thefantasyfootballshow.com. You can also use promo code SMITTY at Underdog Fantasy. Go play Underdog Fantasy using promo code SMITTY or my link at thefantasyfootballshow.com. But more importantly, get on over and get my lifetime membership and get 2 years of free text advice. Everything is now at thefantasyfootballshow.com. Thefantasyfootballshow.com. Swift to the moon, Mario. Trey Lance to the moon, faithfully. Didn't the courts find him not guilty? No, I'm not defending him. I'm looking at both sides of the coin. Well, I appreciate you trying to defend both sides. I actually don't mind somebody defending the other side of the coin. McFact, as long as you're respectful, which I think you have been at times, and I think some of you are fighting, but let's just be respectful to each other. And it's okay to have a different stance, but, you know, this is a crazy situation. See you all at 7 p.m. Eastern. Unless more breaking news breaks, then I'll go live again, because that's how I roll.